Can't let them erase you. But they've erased George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, at least in San Francisco. The San Francisco School Board. In the meeting, a Zoom meeting, of course, because it's America right now, members voted to strip the names of American historical figures George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson from schools in San Francisco. Byron York writes about this revolution from the left and what we've done with our country by handing the keys to the White House to Joe Biden and his merry band of marauders. The San Francisco School Board created a School Names Advisory Committee back in May of 2018. The members of the School Names Advisory Committee passed a resolution committing the board to changing the names of schools named for historical figures who engaged in the subjugation and enslavement of human beings, or who oppressed women, inhibiting societal progress, or whose actions led to genocide, or who otherwise significantly diminished the opportunities of those amongst us to the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. According to San Francisco, Abraham Lincoln fits that category. According to San Francisco, George Washington did just that. The catch-all that San Francisco did, what they put into place, the catch-all phrase, anyone who had diminished the opportunities of anyone else, that would allow the school board to go after virtually any name it chose. And indeed, Tuesday night, the board voted to change 44 school names. Yep, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, even Dianne Feinstein. More on her in just a moment. Also Herbert Hoover, Paul Revere, President James Garfield, Francis Scott Key, you know, the guy who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, William McKinley, Daniel Webster, Robert Louis Stevenson, some Spanish priest who founded missions across California, a 19th century writer, a San Francisco mayor and philanthropist. They even voted to change the name of Roosevelt Middle School, although no one's really sure, according to Byron York, whether it was named after Theodore Roosevelt or Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Better safe than sorry, right? Just get rid of the name altogether. It's Roosevelt, bad enough. What'd they do? What'd FDR do? Well, I could tell you, but probably not for the same reasons as the San Francisco School Board. What about Dianne Feinstein? Well, before she was first elected, and she's like 100 years old, right? Been around a long time. Prayers for her because there are reports that she is in the stages of dementia and Alzheimer's. And pray for her and her family. She's elderly. I mean, she really has been around a long time. Before she was first elected to the Senate back in 1992, she served as the mayor of San Francisco. 1978 to 1988. Feinstein's offense, according to the San Francisco School Board, occurred in 1984. A socialist activist from the Spartacus League and Labor Black League for Social Defense tore down a Confederate flag displayed among 18 flags in a Pavilion of American Flags history exhibit in San Francisco. The exhibit had been in place since 1964. So when the activist vandalized it and tore down the Confederate flag, Mayor Feinstein replaced it with another Confederate flag. Well, that's it. She's done. Erase her. Cancel her. Dianne Feinstein, the School Names Advisory Committee chair, told the San Francisco Chronicle, Dianne Feinstein chose to fly a flag that is the iconography of domestic racism, white avarice, and inhumanity toward black and indigenous people at the city hall. She still has time to dedicate the rest of her life to the upliftment of black, First Nations, and other people of color. She hasn't thus far. So her apology simply wasn't convincing, because I'm sure she did apologize. Byron doesn't say that, but I'm sure somewhere you'll find Dianne Feinstein groveling because in 1984, she replaced a Confederate flag in the Hall of Flags and say, I'm not making this up. You can't make this up. They're crazy. They're crazy. And as Byron York ironically points out, the kicker to all of this madness is that all of the schools the school board is renaming are closed because of COVID. Even though the evidence is overwhelming that schools are safe. More on that in just a moment. All kinds of studies coming in. It's safe. In-person learning is safe. Well, the San Francisco schools, as you might imagine, no. Those teachers aren't going within 100 miles of their classrooms. Those schools stay closed. They're shut. They're closed. Byron York points out the revolution is devouring all before it right now. And frankly, it's hard to argue against the narrative that Joe Biden is leading the revolution. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. We're in the ReliefFactor.com studios. What a time to be alive, huh? What a time to be a part of a show like this one, and I am glad you're here. We're going to do some neat things in 2021. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around how difficult it is to get vaccinations distributed to millions and millions of Americans who need it. I'm waiting for the numbers to start decreasing, because you start to get, honestly, I'm really, really kind of overwhelmed about where we are as a country. Over 4,000 deaths just yesterday. There are lots of people who've been vaccinated, right? Are the numbers going to start going down? Can I say that with any confidence? No, I can't. I want to. I want to believe we're going to be all right. And maybe in a week or 2 or 3 or 4, we're going to start seeing the numbers decreasing. We have to resist the cynicism that will instinctively kick in. Oh, yeah, sure. Trump got voted out, and all of a sudden Biden fixes COVID. I mean, what in the world? How hard is it to I want you to explain something to me. Big picture stuff. The story this week, well, the Biden administration has ordered more vaccine doses from Moderna and ordered, what is this, like cantaloupe on the grocery shelf? And we haven't yet ordered the vaccines yet? What does that even mean? De Blasio, this goofy mayor of New York, was on local news last night saying, we're going to get 17,000 more doses next week. 17,000? That's my block in Manhattan. There's 12 million people. You're excited about 17,000 extra doses? How about everybody get vaccinated? Well, Mike, that's tough. Oh, is it tough? I can promise you, anybody can go to any CVS, Walgreens, Duane Reade, Publix, any grocery store, any drugstore in America, you can go in and buy a bottle of aspirin. Anywhere in America. But we haven't ordered enough vaccines yet? A pandemic that has crushed this country? A pandemic that has destroyed lives? That has really damaged this country so badly that we've never experienced anything like this. We're going to go on our second year of this. And yet, they didn't order enough vaccines? Of course, the Biden administration blames the Trump administration. The Trump administration says Hey, can you look at Operation Warp Speed and what we got done? We've got vaccines, but now we're not ordering enough. This is where we are. And I'm going to warn you right now, and I'm not trying to be overly dramatic or melodramatic. What's happening in San Francisco is a blueprint for what they want to do to this country. That's what we're up against as a nation. Don't kid yourself. This isn't just San Francisco.